All right, Jed, so they really screwed up Sokka, but it sounds like you got somebody else that you didn't like in the show.
Number 2, Iroh. Uncle Iroh is a point of character that I kind of hold close to my heart nowadays in things that I need to do in my daily life. For example, like what I mean by that, Goku, Vegeta, workout inspiration and, making sure I'm doing the best. Simon the Digger and Kamina from Gurren Lagann, always striving to go forward. All my Deku, like Kirishima, being the best hero and saving others, like all that kind of stuff, right?
Big anime guy right here.
What's that?
I was just saying you're a big anime guy.
Oh,
keep going.
Just a little bit. And then it comes Uncle Iroh from Avatar: Last Airbender with all of his wisdom and proverbs and his whole thing about being basically a warlord and then becoming a man of peace. And the proverbs he comes up with. Oh, what's funny, what comes to mind is when Zuko is pretending to be him, he's like, you must look within yourself to find yourself and then your true self. But all I can remember is actually with that in mind is in the cartoon when he finds Zuko, who finds Appa in Ba Sing Se, and he's like, Zuko, I'm begging you, Prince Zuko, who are you and what do you want? Where's that depth with this Uncle Iroh? I feel like Iroh hasn't even called Zuko Prince Zuko this entire time or something. Or even Zuko doesn't even call him uncle. He just calls him like Iroh or just berates him every single opportunity that he gets. And I'm like, what is this choice of relationship that we chose to have for Zuko and Uncle Iroh in this live action? Like, I look upon the cartoon relationship very fondly, and I just don't get the same depth with this Iroh and this, I guess, like by proxy, this Zuko in the live action. And it makes me fearful of moments of when Zuko gets really sick after choosing to be good. Like, that didn't hit as it did in the cartoon, that doesn't hit as hard in the live action as it did in the cartoon. And what really pissed me off this season in terms of that relationship, when Iroh's teaching Zuko about the 4 elements and how waterbenders are people of change, right? Earthbenders are people of resilience. Fire is the element of change and power. Air is all about flow, I guess. Zuko doesn't need to be engaged at all. He's not paying attention. He's like, oh, just how can I shoot lightning? Versus in the cartoon, it becomes a moment of Zuko needs to grow and mature in his firebending and himself in order to defeat Azula. And then, like you said earlier about Uncle Iroh's wackiness, I called my stomach the city of Chi when I redirect lightning.
Oh, I'm not gonna throw lightning at you.
It just didn't hit, and it almost was like a bastardization of it. I'm like, you take this significant moment of where Iroh shows his depth of bending knowledge from learning about other cultures, and you just gloss over it in this way. I was almost fuming, smoke out the ears.
It's a little more sinister because in the live action, Iroh says he made up the technique. In the animated series, he says he learned it by studying the waterbenders. So in the live action, he says, "Oh yeah, I watched the waterbenders, but then I made this up all by myself." And like you said, the context for that moment is entirely different because Zuko and Iroh, they're basically living off the land, and it's the softening of Zuko, and he realizes that he needs more to defeat Azula because they totally forgot about their entire confrontation when Azula is first introduced in animated book 2, that she deceives them. So she's already shown to be this conniving, cunning, subversive character, but then one of her generals messes up and calls them prisoners, and that's what leads to the first confrontation between Zuko and Azula. And they get out by the skin of their teeth because Iroh was able to deflect Zuko's lightning, and then
Azula's.
Wow. Iroh was able to redirect Azula's lightning, and then he throws her off the boat. They're able to get away from Azula and her battalion of firebenders. And then it's Zuko who wants to learn from Iroh to become a better firebender, to learn techniques to match and possibly beat Azula.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's an entirely different context because Zuko, he's kind of like dumbfounded by, he's like, why do I need to learn? Why do I need to learn about all the other nations? Isn't this Avatar stuff? And then Iroh, in his wisdom, he's probably one of the few people that are not the Avatar that learn techniques from other tribes and benders. And it's to Zuko's advantage. But then you still see in the animated show how Zuko still conflicts, and there are plenty of other attempts in the animated show to soften Zuko to make him a more compelling villain and really make the redemption arc in book 3 way more compelling. But then here, he's really mischaracterized by being way too much of a jerk and way too belligerent. And honestly, they make Zuko talk way too much in the live action. He doesn't talk that much in the animated show. And it's to the live action's detriment that they give him way too many lines and they make him come across as way more immature, childish, and really vindictful, when that's not really how he is in the animated show. In the animated show, yes, he's a jerk, but he's very conflicted about who his dad wants him to be and the kind of man that his mom believes he should be, Iroh believes he should be, but then the kind of man that he wants to be within himself. But we'll get to Zuko here in a bit. But back to
the whole
Iroh, it really pissed me off that they really made him basically a spineless, traumatized coward in the show. When we get the Lu Ten leave from the vine,
they screwed that up.
They screwed it up. Because
if I may, real quick, the whole Tales of Ba Sing Se they decided to just sprinkle in for everybody. No, absolutely not.
Messed it up.
How dare you? How dare you do this to my son? Like, it was so like I could tell what they were doing, but they just weren't doing it right. Like, the Tales of Ba Sing Se episode was probably one of the most influential and most significant things in the cartoon. And then
it starts off, you think that episode is just filler because it's the girls, they're getting their nails done, their faces did,
makeup,
but then in all those moments it builds the characters. So you get Iroh, his backstory with Lu Ten, and then that's the first time we see Iroh show that level of emotion, because in the animated show he's just this kind of silly, oftentimes wise, very obsessed with tea, sage-like wisdom figure for Zuko and basically the series. But then what you see in the in that sequence in the Tales of Ba Sing Se is where his sadness comes from, and it's that glimpse of why he's had that change of heart. And then in the live action, they totally recontextualize it and make one, they show him not wanting to go to Ba Sing Se and that he's traumatized to go back to the place that changed his identity as a person and as a character.
Yep.
And you were gonna go say more about it, so I'll let you have the floor.
No, I appreciate it. It just keeps, man, we can just keep flaming this whole thing, man. Call me a firebender right now. They took something that was so meaningful and made it so, they almost belittled it and disrespected how significant the Tales of Ba Sing Se were. They even, like, going back to Saga, his whole like haiku thing with Toph for some reason versus Toph and Katara having their how to
girls moment,
girls moment, like Women's Day kind of thing, right? And then freaking Aang is not like on the search for like Appa and Momo because they're kind of already there, and like they already, or more so Appa, but like he doesn't have his whole thing of his connection with the creatures there, and he makes the whole zoo thing, and like shows off his like earthbending and his airbending, his mastery of the elements, you can say. They took my Tales of Ba Sing Se and they chewed it up and spit it out, and in this whole new context that they're doing, with Sai and Amita, they're just being more characters to Team Avatar, and Teo, who I don't even recall seeing like almost this entire season or something like that because he went out to go do his own thing, versus him and Sai just being on their own like in the cartoon, and the way like they all met Azula, and even Azula herself, and Azula making Ty Lee and May like fight each other, like to test their loyalty, like everything. Like I just don't get the same significance and meaning and care and compassion and depth from the live action from the cartoon. And I'm like, shouldn't the live action could have been better executed if they did that like more? Like, it's almost, you have the source material, why do we need to like make our own version of it where the blueprint's already right there? I think they just the way they've done it has just screwed it up so much more than what I was hoping for.
Well, yeah,
and I was just gonna say, I almost regret asking you to do this with me all over again.
Well, I was gonna say they had potential with Iroh, because in season 1 of the live action, they showed that funeral scene with Luten, Iroh, and Zuko. And that was a good moment that Yumi and Jaeger thought about, because it showed a level of compassion in Zuko for his uncle. So it was like, okay, that's cool. That wasn't in the animated series. But then when it came to how they introduced it in season 2, like you said, it really falls flat, really messes it up. Other things about it. In Serpent's Way, like we talked about earlier, Appa was there the whole time.
The whole time.
They totally messed it up, because they showed Appa transporting Sai and some of the older people across Serpent's Way. So there's no reason they couldn't have done multiple trips, because it's not like Appa doesn't fly fast, not like Serpent's Way is that large that it'll take multiple days to peruse, and then they could have bypassed the whole serpent, dragon, water serpent, Gyarados thing anyway.
And then they do the whole thing with healing it. I just wasn't like
well, 1, 2 in that episode, Aang's characterization is so bad. He's afraid of waterbending. Like, 1, he learns waterbending off screen in between season 1 and season 2.
Yep.
And then he has fear to learn healing, which make no sense. Like, why is he so reserved? And really throughout this entire series, he's not really characterized and depicted as a hero and as our protagonist and how he should be. And it really messes up, because obviously the kid has had a growth spurt. And in episode 1, it kind of proved to me that they weren't super confident in the show, because he says nothing for like the first 5 to 10 minutes, and he's there on the screen. And then he gets that moment with Katara, Sokka, and Suki, and his voice is noticeably different. And they have that line where it's like, oh yeah, it's been so long, and oh, it looks like you've grown a bit since we last saw each other. So they're trying to make it work in universe. But when you have that the guy who played Aang clearly go through like puberty, his voice change, it loses the level of innocence that Aang has in the animated series, because now you can tell he's a young adult. And they even have a funny line that just doesn't work in that Serpent's Way episode, where there's a kid who stops on the rocks and he's like, oh, I'm scared, I'm just a kid. And then Aang says, well, I'm just a kid too. I laughed, dude. I was like, no, you're not, bro. You're not a kid anymore. Like, if
he's a kid, I'm in the grave. That's what it is.
But yeah, it just doesn't work. And then in tying that in with the Ba Sing Se plot point, how it works in the animated show, they didn't have Appa at that point in episode 12 of the animated series.
That's why they couldn't like use Appa, and they had to fight the serpent.
And then when you see what happens to Appa in Appa Alone, Tales of Ba Sing Se with Momo, and how